Chris. Thank you for coming around. Thank you for agreeing to engage the public together with us. All right, so without further ado, I would quickly take the documentary just to set the ball rolling. The Meet the Farmers Conference, it's an agri export conference that is organized by Greenway Consulting, and the goals are to boost agribusiness ties between Nigeria and the Middle East, particularly the Gulf states, the Gulf Council in the Middle East. So we are using Dubai as a hub for ensuring agribusiness ties between Nigerian farmers and the market in Dubai. Yeah, and then last year, this is not the Nigerian event will be the first in Nigeria, but we held the maiden event last year at in Dubai. Yeah, and then earlier this year we had one event in Ghana, the Midi Farmers Conference Ghana. The Nigerian conference will hold in October 10th, and then there's one on October 5th in Rwanda and another in Nairobi, Kenya. We'll get more details about this as this media launch goes on there. So very quickly, we'll just take very short clips. I want us to sit back and enjoy these short clips from NTFC Dubai, the Midi Farmers Conference that held in Dubai last November, and then short clips from Ghana, the event that held in Ghana earlier this year, and the media launch for Kenya. So let's plan together as we welcome Mrs. Bini and Jide from Greenway Consulting.
Good morning, dear sirs and mas. I stand on existing protocol. My name is Bini Jide. I work as a business consultant for Greenway Consulting, and in the next few minutes I'll be representing Ms. Bola Oyedele just to talk about the Meet the Farmers Conference initiative, why we are all gathered here, our short-term, long-term, medium goal, our objectives, our vision, and probably establish possible collaboration, business relationship, and see how far we can go. Thank you for your minutes. I would also like to thank everyone for taking our time out of their busy schedule to be part of this wonderful event with us. We are really glad to have you around. Thank you once again. So I'll go right ahead to the presentation. Okay, so the Meet the Farmers Conference is an agriculture-based event, and then the aim is to bring across stakeholders across the value chain of agriculture to talk about agriculture and how we can grow agribusiness in Nigeria. Okay. The main conference was held in Dubai last year, and the one for this year will be taking place in 4 African countries and the UAE. And then why we are doing this in all this African region is to come closer to the market, because really we are the ones that are needed in the UAE. We have the land, we have the farmers, we have everything, so to speak. We have the natural resources. But then Dubai is a business opportunity for Africans. We have a lot of Africans going to the UAE for vacation, going to the UAE to buy properties, but a lot of people don't actually look into the agriculture sector, which is worth over $100 billion. And in less than 10 years, it's going to be worth over $400 billion. So our head office is headquartered there, and then we have some of our staffs that are actually living and working there. And that was actually what led to this conference, when we realized that it's a difficult thing getting agro produce, getting stuff. And even when you see some produce there, they are actually, you see the label of it as made in India, made in Pakistan, because what happens is you have the giants, the big guys, come to our countries, like African countries. They come to buy all this agro produce at a very low rate, and then they package. For instance, Ewedu, for instance, what they do is they probably just wash it, and then they package it in like a nylon, and then it's made in India. But then you know that this is actually from Nigeria. The same thing with Atawidu and every other thing. And then for you to actually get, when we talk about fruits and vegetables, for you to actually get good ones, the organic ones, you have to go to really expensive supermarket that a lot of people cannot afford. That is the gap we're trying to bridge. So we are trying to link African farmers with the Dubai agro market and see what our farmers can make. Imagine if we're making like 1%, 2% of the $100 billion, I'm sure that will affect the common man and cause the growth we are anticipating for agriculture in Africa. So this is the analysis of Nigeria export markets currently in Nigeria according to the National Bureau of Statistics, Foreign Trade Statistics. These are our major export trading partners, and India seems to be the top, then USA, Spain, Netherlands, and France. This is basically where we are currently exporting to. So this is the top 5 that we have in Nigeria according to NBS. And these are the major agricultural products that our farmers are currently taking. It will interest you to know that UAE is not part of the countries that we are currently, so it's actually a new market that we are trying to, the essence of the platform is to make farmers to buy into this idea, to see the opportunity, to see the other side of Dubai that yes, we don't have to always go to Dubai to invest. They can also come over here and let's trade our natural resources and get money in exchange for that. Yeah, so we have sesame seed, we have frozen shrimps, we have soya beans, cashew nuts. So basically we're just working with the top 5, just to give us like a random idea and view of the current state of where Nigeria is and what we can achieve with this. Okay, so according to the World Bank, it is estimated that over 1 billion people worldwide work in the agricultural industry, and the industry generated close to $3.2 trillion for the global economy in 2016. Okay, in another slide, we're going to see that basically agriculture is the major employer of labor, and Africans were able to latch on this platform, probably because it is convenient or it is easy, I don't know why. But another fact we've been able to establish is the fact that a lot of Nigerian farmers, they actually engage on subsistence farming. And I think that is what is actually affecting our growth with regards to export of agro-produce. Okay. These are the top agro-imported produce to the UAE and other GCC. So we have soft in the commodity of coffee, cocoa, sugar, tea. We have grains in the commodities of wheat, rice, maize, barley, oats. It goes on and on. But then, the essence of this particular slide is just to show us that I'm sure individually you're already saying, oh, I produce gum arabic, or I know people that do ginger. Like, we have the produce. But then, why are we not leveraging, or why are we not tapping into this big opportunity to see how we can improve our livelihood? Yes, we might not be doing chickpeas or other things, but I'm sure we are producing more than 20 of this produce that is in high demand in the UAE. So this is like an eye opener for key stakeholders that are represented here, because we believe that you'll be able to influence people and make them see that yes, this is a right direction that they should consider and start looking into. Okay, so top agro-produce imported into the UAE and the import volume. So we have food and live animals estimated at $204,225. It goes on and on. But my interest actually is on, I'm looking at cocoa, I'm looking at fertilizer. It will interest you to know that Nigeria currently imports fertilizer from the UAE, and it's not organic, which is not a good thing to say, but that is the current state that we are in. So, but all these things that we are showing you today, this is opportunity. This is huge money. You can see the import volume. You can see how people are making money, and through what? Through agriculture. So it is high time we accept agriculture, because fortunately for us in Nigeria, the federal government also supports the growth of non-oil economy. So I believe for us, all of us to be here, we are all on the same boat. Like, we share that same vision. Agriculture is actually the key to the development of our Nigerian economy and Africa at large. Okay, so this is talking about each country in Africa, and then their major produce, their export partners, and then the percentage of GDP contribution to the Nigerian economy. So we have Nigeria at 135, blah, blah. On this page, it looks like Nigeria is leading, But then when you go to the next slide, you see other countries that does not even have as much population as Nigeria. I'm talking of Algeria, for instance. The total population of Algeria is about 41 million. And then you can see how much agriculture is contributing to their GDP. And then you can also see the produce that they are making. It will also interest you to know that it's just about 10% of the total population that is engaging on agriculture. So this implies that either they are doing the right thing or something is just working right for them. So we have to figure out what is not helping our population, being one of the largest in the whole of Africa, while we have a lot of land, arable land, natural resources, and a lot of our agro-produce actually go to waste. So that is like something we should actually all think about. Okay, so I'm also looking at Ethiopia. Ethiopia is the closest to Nigeria in terms of population, about 105 million population. But then look at it, we're talking of billion, and we are still struggling, to contribute million with all the things that we have. I would also like to share with you that 70% of Nigerians are actually engaging in agriculture and is one of the largest employer of labor. Unfortunately, like I mentioned earlier, most of these people are actually doing the subsistence farming, and then we are not embracing technology, mechanized farming, and then we are still struggling with seedlings and other stuff. So, like I mentioned, this opportunity is an avenue for us to see where we are, what we can do better, and our objectives via the MTS platform. Crinovate is a management consulting firm, and like I mentioned, what led to this conference is part of a research analysis we were doing for the Dubai. So part of our work also requires us to understand. We just don't see a market and venture into it like that. We have to do our own analysis. Is this the right market for Nigerian farmers? Is this the right market for the African people? So it is a market that, based on all our research, we know that we are good to go. We just need collaboration, partnership from the right stakeholders to get this ball. This is based on Crinovate. This is a SWOT analysis of the agro industry. We have our strengths, the weaknesses, opportunity, and the threats. So for the strengths, there's an opportunity for us to open trade policy, free international trade presence or free trade zones. There's an opportunity for infrastructure and logistics availability, e.g. good roads and cargo airlines. At our own level, what we currently do now is to help agro stakeholders that are interested in the UAE markets try to set up business for them in the UAE. Because the same way you have a reducing package that's made in India, the only leverage that such a company has over the common man selling the wages is the fact that he has a license that permits him to import anything to the UAE and sell. And that license also allows you to rebrand it. But then, maybe out of curiosity, you can now go and trace the certificate of origin to now realize that it was actually gotten from Nigeria. But then, who cares? It's already in the supermarket. I want a video and buying it, so that's all. I don't think a lot of people will want to take our time to go and check, like, where was this gotten from and all that. So, based on our analysis, we are doing what we can in our own capacity to see how we can actually bridge the gap, because that is the focus of the conference. It's not just about fancy environment or gathering people. We want everybody to find value and what they can take away from the conference, because it is all about improving our livelihoods. Because when I talk to my colleagues that are actually living there, it's so painful when they tell you things like, oh, I want to buy watermelon and I'm spending 5,000 naira. Like, if I go to my I think it's around 200 naira. I have a colleague that lives there. So usually I just tell him, please let me buy watermelon, because on the island it's around 700 naira. So, I mean, even the extra 500 naira on the watermelon pays you how much more if you have to buy it for 5,000, especially in organic supermarkets and all that. Yeah, so some of the threats you identify is impending value added tax in the UAE from 2018. And then I've not really talked much about Dubai, but I think right there I'm really going to say a little bit. Another thing we've, based on research that we found out about Dubai is the fact that they don't have stringent policies. Dubai is a home for all. They keep reviewing their policies, they keep reviewing their rules just to welcome people. When you read news about Dubai, you see how much they're making from tourism, how much they're making from technology. Like, it's just because they put in a lot of work, a lot of efforts to ensure that Dubai works. Now, United Nations, they're saying that, okay, by 2050 now, we're going to be having food insecurity, and then every country is trying to see what they can do. Dubai is taking a step further to engage in vertical farming, because they realize that by 2050 now, maybe even if you are getting 1,000 metric tons of ginger from Nigeria, it might reduce to 500 metric tons because the population will keep growing. But then, what are they doing? They are trying to put some infrastructures in place to ensure that the citizens and the nations are still well fed, because whether we like it or not, food is very, very essential, and agriculture is the only thing that can provide food. It's also been proven that agriculture is the source of some of natural resources, and we even use it in some industries and all that. So this is a very good, I don't want to really emphasize on it, I just have to really chip that in. Okay, so I briefly talked about Innovate. We're a management consultant firm based in Dubai with branches in Nigeria and Ghana, who primarily deals with business setup, gives business advisory services to clients looking to set up in Dubai and other branches. We currently have operational offices in Dubai, Nigeria, and Ghana. We're still looking to set up in Rwanda, that has even started already, and in Kenya. So what this does is that we are not just giving advisories from far away. We first step in, understand how things are being done, and then we tailor it to suit each country. Some advices we'll give to our clients in Nigeria is not the same thing we're going to give to people in Ghana. And then, because we also have different agro produce, we will not necessarily advise somebody to go and, because there's a agro worth of $400 billion, so you just go to the farm and now start planting something that is not of need. So those are the guidelines that we're able to provide. We help guide people through the whole thing, like to ensure that, yes, demand meets supply and all that. So Meet the Farmers Conference is an exclusive business matchmaking event for African farmers who are looking to venture into the GCC market. The event aims to bring together exporters of agro-commodities, off-takers, and other private and government stakeholders to discuss trade and investment. It was born out of a research that showed that UAE imports $100 billion of agro-produce every year, of which African countries have no or little percentage in it, despite our vast resources that could easily support that. Yeah. So, like I've mentioned earlier, that being a management consulting firm, what we do is to engage in a lot of feasibility and market research. And thank God for technology. We can be in Dubai and know so much about Kenya. Even before we go to set up offices or branches in some of these countries, who would have done our feasibility study and market research to really know, okay, so where is the right place, who are our target audience, who should we be talking to, and all that. So for the Meet the Farmers Conference for Nigeria, this is the problems that we were able to identify. The fact that even with the existing bilateral trade between UAE and Nigeria, we are not exporting as much as it should be. This is a good news from Nigeria. The second point, trade balance of Nigeria in 2017 Q3 amounted 1,225 billion naira due to a continued value increase in exports. Yeah, so that's good news for the whole nation. Unfortunately, this value actually came from exportation of crude oil. And then, based on another news, I think we read that in another 10-20 years, we will not have enough oil again to cater for the whole country. And then, if as at 2018, the year that we're currently in, if crude oil is still the major thing that we're exporting, I think that's a big problem that we have to start looking at. So this is according to NBS. Nigeria also recorded trade surplus of 1.22 trillion naira with agricultural goods, amounting to 4.3% only of the total trade value, estimated at about 253,684 million naira. Foreign trade statistics Q3 2017. Yeah, the reason why we decided to use this particular, because even when you search other international statistics company, they focused majorly on 2017 because it's a whole full year. You understand? We will not want to use 2018 as a reference point because the year is not in. And we also think that if we are able to get the kind of collaboration that we are anticipating for the Meet the Farmers Conference, I'm sure we can make a lot of impact on these changes. So maybe in another year, when we're talking, we can see the impact of agriculture in the growth of export trade in Africa and Nigeria especially. So we have 14 countries from various continents account for export destination of Nigeria's agricultural top 5 produce. That's Africa, Asia, Europe, blah 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 blah. Import stuff from Benin. Like Benin is just there. And then they have a total population of 11 million. And majorly palm oil. Like when I saw that, I just couldn't believe it. Benin. Like, but that is where we are. So these are the realities that we have to put ourselves and trying to put ourselves on check on. Based on our research and findings, these are the solutions we believe that via this the Farmers Conference platform, we'll be able to achieve and then make a lot of impact in the growth of agribusiness in Nigeria. We can take advantage. When I say we, not just Innovate or NTFC organizers, I'm talking of the major stakeholders that we have successfully brought in to have this meeting with, because we believe that you have like a great influence. You know, you have a lot of agro-allied stakeholders under your ministries, under your organizations, under your institutions. So we can actually take advantage of the existing trade agreements and the new export strategy launched. And what this also means is that we can, since we already have a bilateral trade, we can work on reviewing some of our existing policies. But then, the private stakeholders can't do it alone. We need the help of some major ministries. You understand? Review how things are done, review the processes for ease of doing business. We can also diversify produce, like mixed produce. Like I said, we have been able to identify major agro-produce that are in demand in the UAE. So based on what we have that we're currently exporting, we can mix, we can see what good we can make from this. We can also develop new markets because we have to accept that the agro-industry of the UAE is a new market to African farmers. From MTFC 2017, fortunately for Ghana, a lot of good news have come out from the attending the conference. They were ably represented. We had the ambassador at the conference, and then they were able to create some business relationship that's yielded into great things. So we're hoping that Nigeria will also partake and be beneficial of all the benefits that this NTFC conference has to offer. We can also use NTFC to educate attendees of the value addition to be derived from exports and leverage on Nigeria's potential to become a major exporter of organic agro-allied products to other countries. Our goal is to promote export of Nigerian agricultural products within Africa and across the UAE, promote the industrialization of agricultural-based businesses in intra and extra-African trade, drive strategic foreign direct investment from the GCC states to Africa. We also aim to increase and diversify agro-produce exports from Nigeria to UAE, and then add value to all attendees, mutual benefits for Dubai and Nigeria, and then increase the contribution of agro-exports to the GDP of Nigeria. The main purpose of this event is to establish and strengthen the international trade ties that exist between Africa and the GCC, utilizing the unique positioning of Dubai as a hub. And then the theme for this year's conference is bridging the gap between Middle East and Africa, which is the future of agribusiness. Another focus of Innovate as a company is that technology is of passion to our company. We are able to, especially from MTFC Ghana that we did in July, we had people that were represented, people that represented the people, I mean the attendees, were people that are already using technology to improve how things are done. Because then, if we keep talking and we're not acting, we might just be here discussing the same thing next year. So we are looking at how, because I also heard from a friend last week that in Nigeria currently, you can get your seedlings for free. Like there's a policy that allows you to get seedlings for free. You don't have to pay for it. Yeah, so it's not just ordinary seedlings, because if you continue to produce as a farmer, if you continue to produce agro commodities that doesn't meet international standard, nobody is going to buy it. So another thing we're going to achieve through this MTFC platform is to educate probably at the main events when we have a larger audience and we have most of these farmers around. It's probably to educate them on even making produce that meets international standard. And then we're also working with some financial institutions, because another issue we are having as the way Nigeria is structured is the issue of trust. The fact that people just believe that everybody in Nigeria is a fraudster. So even at the conference last year, people were more comfortable dealing with people from Ghana, I mean the UAE representative, than dealing with people from Nigeria. So the work lies on us to ensure that we bring people, institutions that can really be trusted and pay the face for the Nigerian community at the MTFC Dubai. So we aim to gather information regarding food safety regulations in regards to exporting to GCC. Information to be provided by technical experts and then attended by a selected group of off-takers and exhibitors to introduce the main event in Dubai, where business deals will be transacted between farmers and buyers. In conclusion, the success of our economy greatly depends on your participation and investment. Nigeria and Dubai are moving in the right direction so far, and it is our collective responsibility to be the chief drivers in this upward movement and not to be merely passengers in the vehicle of development. We would therefore be most grateful for you to grace this event with your presence and mark a new beginning of Nigeria agribusiness. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm sure she gave a very major exposition on all the ideas of the forthcoming conference. So without further ado, we'll just dive right straight into taking the keynote statement from the Ministry of Agriculture, Lagos State. Please let's make welcome Mr. Shoni Kombawa today. He's the Assistant Director, Livestock at the Lagos State Ministry of Agriculture. Put your hands together.
Good morning, please. My name is Mr. Shoni Kombawa today. I'm the head of the Livestock for Lagos State Ministry of Agriculture. I come with a greeting from the HE, that's His Excellency, Governor Akim Ambode, likewise from the Honorable Commissioner, Ministry of Agriculture, Honorable Oluwatoyin Suara. I would also like to tender the apology of the Honorable Commissioner for being unavoidably absent at this particular program today. Let me proceed, please. You all know Lagos State, we have always been the front runner, and we need not to say much about our activities. But likewise, I also like to take you through some of our activities. You know, we started with the idea of what's the interest of Lagos State with the slogan, do our business in doing business. People don't really understand the slogan. That's what we used in Lagos State. We decided to organize a food security summit whereby we invited all private farmers, and they all came. At that particular forum, we decided that we are having an issue with this agribusiness issue. So the governor, also magnanimous enough, decided to create a department of agricultural business. So we have a department of agricultural business for private people. In case you need information or you need assistance, you can easily go to the department, they will take you through. Likewise, we now decided that because it's a local business job, presently we are trying to organize a Southwest Security and Food Safety Summit. As soon as it's set, we'll let you know. We'll be invited, all the private people, farmers and all this stuff will be invited. So on this note, we now proceed that, okay, if we are talking about private people, we look inward. That what's the next step the state government will do? We now decided that, okay, they said there's an adage in Yoruba that's really Latin who Eshorode. We look inward at the population of Lagos State people is so much. How do we solve the population of food security and food safety? Then they now decided that, okay, we should look how we are going to move. There's the production of food in Lagos State alone. We are not talking of other states. What we can produce within Lagos State and our other farmers residing in other states, that we can move it from present 10%, decided, okay, we should move forward again. We go into rice production, which is the lake rice. We go into the catfish production and some other things. I remember that about 3 or 4 years ago, we attended the program in Kaduna. It was organized by a World Bank representative. And we have about 5 states, Lagos State and some other states. I would like to mention much. So at that particular forum, they gave, it was a 5-year program. And that was the 3rd year. I was there to represent one of our directors and remember. And they said, we should now give account of all we have been doing the last 3 years. Other states stood up. And when it's our turn, they say, we talk. Then I say, okay, what's your next budget? Our budget was around maybe $50 million. How much do you have left? We have about $50 million, $20 million. And I said, what's happening? He said, well, we have short of funds. The man said, no. I said, okay. He said, can you defend it? He said, yes. Now ask other states, how much do you have balance in your purse? Some of them, they are even yet to touch their own fund. Some have said as high as $300 million. And we started with the same amount. So we are trying to defend ourselves. They said no. So they now said, what do you suggest? I know we are very smart in Lagos State. We said, let's do this thing. Let's put all the money together. And we now put out our budget. So we now take it from the money. Other people now said, no, respect your own money. Then, the chairman of the forum now stood up. He said, I would love to defend Lagos State. They said, well, he said, he went to Dubai. And he was at one of the best hotels. I would not like to mention the hotel. And he was so hungry, he now decided that, please call me the people to come and give me food. They now gave him the list of the items. Now said, now saw offered rice. He said, offered rice. Are you sure you have offered rice? They said, yeah. Are you sure? He said, I would prefer to eat offered rice. So they now said, it will cost you so much. He now said, just give me the offered rice. So the guy was about going now, turn back. Sorry sir, one of that thing said, what's the problem? Do you want the offered rice, offered stew, or offered rice with ordinary rice? The man said, what do you mean? He said, offered rice with offered stew, it will cost you so amount for the rice alone, so amount for the stew. The man said, okay, let me have the offered rice and the offered stew. After finished eating, he now decided, he walked all the way to the manager. He said, please, I had something today, I had one offered rice. Can you do me a favor? I need the label of those, that country that produces the offered rice. Thank you very much. From Lagos State Ministry of Agriculture. We are very grateful.
Right, thank you very much, Director from the Lagos State Ministry of Agriculture. Without taking our time again, we want to again very sincerely acknowledge the presence of agribusiness owners in the room. We're glad you could make it. There's quite a long list, so I can't go around naming everyone, but I welcome everyone that's joined us. Key to our plans is the Nigerian Association of Chamber of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, NASIMA. And we have with us present today the Director of Research and Development, Mrs. Rebecca Ajibade. Please put your hands together, she wants to give a statement on the relationship with NTFC.
My name is Rebecca Ajibade, as I said. I head the research unit in NASIMA. I'm here representing the national president, who is currently in Australia at the Australia Mining Roadshow, and I'm going to read her address. I feel honored to be invited to the official media launch of the Meet the Farmers Conference, Lagos 2018. On behalf of the Council, Executive, and entire members of the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, NASIMA, I warmly welcome everyone, all distinguished guests, to this auspicious event. I congratulate Crenovate and their partners, Cutters and Geo Travels and Tours for putting together a great event. I applaud this laudable initiative aimed at promoting the agriculture sector. Also because is a major contributor to the nation's GDP and the highest employer of labor. Agriculture has made significant contributions to the economic prosperity of many countries, such as USA, Brazil, Japan, Argentina, China, Indonesia, and India, just to mention a few. It's very encouraging to note that agriculture has taken a front role in the policies and plans of the federal government of Nigeria, especially through the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan 2017 to 2020 and the Anchor Borrowers Plan project. I'm also delighted to state that the agricultural revolution in Nigeria is already gathering momentum with the sector's increased contributions. The last GDP figures, which recently was released some days ago, shows that the contribution from agriculture sector is about 22.86%. part of the non-oil sector, and the non-oil sector has contributed over 91.45% to the GDP of the nation. We also support the rice revolution in Nigeria. We can see the impact. More attention actually needs to be paid to research, soft loan for financing for farmers, infrastructure, technology, insurance, logistics and quality to develop and strengthen the agricultural value chain, which is of utmost importance to us. After a concise review of the sector and strategizing on how best the gaps can be addressed, NASIMA is currently working on a partnership with the Nigerian insurance-based risk-sharing system, that's NISAL, to better de-risk lending to farmers and enable them gain access to required finance for agriculture. It is pertinent that I reiterate that agriculture and its value chain are priority areas of interest to NASIMA, and this is indicated in our advocacy programs. The association in 2017 organized the Agriculture and Agribusiness Policy Linkage Conference in collaboration with NISAL and NAIC, that's the Nigerian Agri Insurance Corporation, Nigerian Agribusiness Group, that's NABG, the Bank of Industry, Bank of Agriculture, CONOC, and other stakeholders in Nigeria's agriculture sector. The outcome of that conference has set the foundation for other collaborations to improve the sector and those who operate in it. Other areas of NASIMA's intervention to improve the agribusiness sector include the creation of a special purpose vehicle to focus on harnessing the potentials in the sector through large-scale agricultural investment and support to smallholder farmers along Nigeria's river basin. This is currently ongoing. NASIMA has also registered and established the NASIMA Ventures and Certifications Limited, a training center approved by the Chartered Quality Institute of London, to offer the International Organization of Standards, that's ISO courses, ISO approved courses. The courses offered include quality management system, environmental management system, food safety management system courses. NASIMA is also equally involved and is currently on the National Technical Working Group of the Global GAP, that's the Global Good Agricultural Practices, which is expected to facilitate entry of our cultural products into the international markets. We also support the entrepreneurial initiative designed to attract young people into the agriculture as a business. The NASIMA Youth Group and NASIMA Business Women Group, called NAWOG, are also involved in various agricultural projects, capacity building workshops and programs in different parts of the country. I would like to state that NASIMA is present in each state of the country, and we are available, we have chambers available down to the grassroots. We also have a thriving partnership with the Nigerian Export Processing Council. To further underscore our support and belief in the agribusiness sector, NASIMA, in partnership with the Kano State Government and Vertical Inspirations, are currently organizing the first Agricultural Quality Excellence Award, scheduled to hold on the 20th of November 2018 in Kano State. The project aims to recognize quality in agriculture and showcase individuals and organizations' contribution to the agricultural sector and its value chain while supporting market access strategies. As a voice of Nigerian business, we support and welcome collaborations aimed at improving the non-oil sector of the economy with particular interest in the agricultural sector. In conclusion, as you may already know, the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture is the umbrella body of all city, state, regional, bilateral, and multilateral chambers of commerce, including professional associations. The association has a core objective to advocate and promote policies that ensure the creation of a conducive atmosphere for the pursuit of business, agriculture, industry, and all other forms of economic activities of interest to the private sector. Once again, we applaud this initiative and we look forward to working on this Meet the Farmers Conference in October. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Rebecca from NASIMA. Right, Meet the Farmers Conference has quite a number of partners, media partners, technical partners, and other co-organizers. One of them, all the way from Abuja, is the convener, Zuma Harvest Festival, and also Chief Operating Officer of Zuma FM in Abuja. This is thanks God as well. Welcome Shuaib Kiri Ahmed.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I also would like to stand on an existing protocol. My name is Shuaib Kiri Ahmed. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Zuma Radio in Abuja. I'm also the Festival Director for the annual Zuma FM Agricultural Harvest Festival, which held a year ago and we're about to hold another one this year. Zuma FM is a Abuja-based station. Registered station based in Suleja. We basically cover Abuja, Niger, Kogi, and some parts of Kaduna State. So over the last 1 year, we decided to come and organize a harvest festival for the rural farmers, and we were able to organize it to a success. And we would want to basically collaborate. We are collaborating with the Meet the Farmers Conference here that's going to hold in Lagos with our farmers. We have over 1,000 farmers based on our radio network. We gathered them based on the fact that we are a rural station and organized a harvest festival for them. That was last year. And right now in our organization, or rather in our stable, we have over 1,000 of them basically registered with us. We're also going to organize another one this year. In November, just after the Dubai Show Harvest Festival, and we would also invite our farmers to participate in the Meet the Farmers Conference in Lagos as well. So on behalf of Zuma FM, I would want to show our pleasure and our support for the Meet the Farmers Conference, which will be holding here in Lagos. Thank you very much.
Alright, so we move on again to another statement from an important partner to us, Nigerian Exports Import Bank, Nexim. We have a representative of the head of the Lagos Regional Office with us. Put your hands together as well on Nexim.
Good morning, everybody. Still standing on an existing protocol. My name is Kalu. I'm here to represent Nexim Bank. First of all, let me send in the apology of my MD for not being able to attend this. But we, as an organization, Nexim, we are happy to associate with this kind of event. Looking at the program, I would have thought that maybe our own time would have been at the end, because ours is usually about funding, supporting farmers, supporting players in different areas. Like you all know, our main mandate as an organization is to encourage export, fund export. And in terms of sector, agriculture, as you all know, is a vital component to the Nigerian economy in terms of GDP contribution, in terms of foreign exchange generation, in terms of job employment or job creation. So it's one of the sectors that we focus on as an organization to ensure that we give all the support that we need to give. Our main mandate is to provide funding for export of agricultural products, export of commodities, export of solid minerals and all of that. But agric remains one of the key sectors that we put in so much in terms of funding to support. But we believe strongly that agric is one of the areas that can create more jobs, generate foreign exchange from non-oil sources, and make a lot of things more comfortable for the country. However, in looking at the value chain in agriculture, we come in at the point of storage, value addition in terms of processing, and of course, distribution. When we say distribution, marketing. When you say marketing, selling within and outside the country. But our primary aim usually is to sell outside the country. So for an event like this, where you have identified a market that is untapped, that has a lot of potentials for agricultural products from Nigeria, we are so much willing to be part of this. So we come in at the point of storage. For an example, after your farm input, farm production, we can provide funding for you to arrange a storage facility that will make your product remain the way it is in terms of preservation. We also, from that step, the next thing is value addition, agro-allied, processing, packaging, for you to be able to be competitive outside. We can also support you along that line by either assisting you to bring in your equipment or providing you with local currency for some of the inputs that you need locally. But like I said earlier, our main aim is to ensure that whatever it is that you do is taken across the border. Export. Export is the target of all the funding that we make available to our customers. And of course, distribution. Identifying the real market for your products, identifying where your products are needed, try and give you information, advice that will make you remain competitive outside. So basically, that is what we do as an organization. Agric will give all the support because we know the strength of Agric in terms of job opportunities for our people, in terms of foreign exchange generation, in terms of GDP contribution. Agric remains very, very key to us as an organization. Funding, like I've already said, we can provide funding for you both in Naira and in foreign currency for you to arrange for your storage facility, for you to add value in terms of bringing in equipment to process, because over time we've been moving out our goods from this country without any value addition. And we believe that there's a lot of opportunity and even value in terms of income if you just do a little more than sending out some of the things that we produce in this country. So we're willing to fund you when it comes to value addition. Your equipment and all of that, we'll be willing to do that. We'll also be willing, we have openings for distribution. When we say distribution, helping you in terms of advisory services to identify where you can sell your product. Dubai, like the past speakers have already said, is a market that I think has a lot of potentials for agricultural products from Nigeria. So Nexim, at any point in time, will be willing to partner with Krevno and all the farmers at the point at which we believe that we will be able to, we will be relevant to your processes. So thank you very much. I'll make all our information in terms of contact and everything available for everybody that's around. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Good to know that we have a big endorsement from Nixon. All right, very quickly we'll move on to another important financial supporting institution, the Bank of Agriculture, and we have with us Executive Director, Finance and Risk Management from BOA, Prince Lee Akenzua. has come to talk about their relationship and the Meet the Farmers Conference. This is
Thank you very much. And good morning, everyone. And also, I'll stand on existing protocol. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Krenovich. The way they were pronouncing Krenovich, initially I had to take a second look because it sounded like a full name. I didn't know there was a figure initially. So I want to congratulate Krenovich for this initiative. It's a good initiative. It's an initiative that we must sustain. It is an initiative that is laudable. It is visionary. And my prayer is that you will not let off. You will continue with it until we achieve the objective. Somebody mentioned Ghana. Somebody also mentioned that at the conference in Dubai, people felt more comfortable talking to non-Nigerian African countries. So that's an area we also need to deal with. All of us know that the perception of the average Nigerian is not good outside the shores of this country. So events like this must be sustainable, both here in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. I believe strongly that we must tell our story. Because if we allow people to tell our story for us, it will always be negative. Nobody talks about the exploits Nigerians make abroad in different professions and all over the place. But when it comes to the negative, the very few, and I emphasize the very few negatives are the areas that blow up. So let us, please, I'd like to encourage Krenovich to make this event a sustainable one and partner strongly with the likes of us and all the other stakeholders you have here. Because together we can make a difference in this sector. So I want to go straight into the issue of agriculture. We are beginning to hear more now about Bank of Agriculture. I believe a couple of years ago, very few people were hearing about Bank of Agriculture. In fact, loans for agricultural initiatives and programs were taken from commercial banks. I was speaking with a colleague at the table just now. First Bank actually pioneered lendings in agriculture amongst commercial banks many years ago. Now we all know also that Bank of Agriculture has been in the backside. Agriculture actually has been in the backside, when it comes to government policy. And we know that it took a drop in crude oil price to $35 for this country to wake up to agriculture. It's better late than never, but I think the diversification of the economy now to agriculture, to manufacturing, solid minerals and so on must be sustained. Because there lies the source of employment, youth employment. We have very, very many unemployed graduates today. And I believe that this country is sitting on a time bomb if we don't deal with this issue. And when you have unemployed graduates who have been unemployed for 5 years non-stop, these are graduates, these are intelligent people. They would engage in things that would not be good for this country. We already are seeing it. Social media is there. People are using it negatively rather than positively. So we all must join hands to ensure that this mandate of diversifying the economy, particularly to agriculture, is sustained. Agriculture is one single source of increased employment for our teeming unemployed youth. Agriculture, the entire value chain of agriculture can continue to employ and employ non-stop. Because production, now the mandate of government is to also ensure to achieve food security very quickly. And this is from increased food production. And as we achieve increased food production, food security, and we diversify our foreign exchange, our sources of foreign exchange income as a government, then import substitution, then this country will begin to move forward. I said at the forum recently that we must pay attention to what happened in the oil and gas sector many years ago for it not to happen in the agricultural sector. And what happened in the oil and gas sector is that foreigners took it over completely. The government had joint venture partnerships with the majors, but outside of that, those who were servicing the majors, the oil service companies, were all largely foreign companies. So for many years, this country was paying all its earnings in foreign exchange from crude oil production offshore to both joint venture partners and service providers. So what happened was over 80% of what the country earned was paid outside the country. So there was no impact on our economy. There was no impact in the Niger Delta area. So what happened there some years ago was bound to happen. It was just waiting to happen. Because you go to, what I saw in 92 or 93 in the Niger Delta area was pathetic. Because this happened in the agricultural sector. Why am I saying this? Shortly after federal government diversified to agriculture, and the international community actually saw that the government had no choice but to do this, and it was the right thing to do. A lot of them started coming to Nigeria. They were visiting us in the bank and offering all kinds of services, from packaging to input supplies to every aspect of the agricultural value chain. They were ready to play in them. And I said to myself, my goodness, what happened in the oil and gas sector is about to happen again. And then a lot of us are watching. A lot of us are seated, and people are just saying to themselves, how do I get into agriculture? It's not fashionable, it's not dignifying. Some people even say it's not dignifying. That's how ridiculous this whole thing is. But that's where the money is. Because the opportunities in the agricultural sector is vast. The activities and the opportunities in the entire value chain is vast. They understand it. And they have come here and they are ready to play in it. And what are they doing? They just take a Nigerian partner who sits in an office that they pay for, and he coordinates the activities in Nigeria. Exactly what happened in the oil and gas sector. We must avoid it, ladies and gentlemen. This country belongs to us. It is the only country we have, and this country is endowed with resources. Personally, I don't think I have seen a country in the world that is as blessed as Nigeria. Nigeria has all the minerals you want to talk about. What a lot of countries need is just one of what we have, and they will turn their countries around. But we have everything. We haven't even scratched the surface of our gas deposit. Neither have we in the solid mineral sector. Then not to talk of agriculture. Do you know that this country has either one of the best, our crops in this country is either the best in the world or one of the best in the world. Either the best in the world or one of the best in the world. Malaysia came to Benin, where I am from, and took the palm oil technology, took it back, I think in the 60s or so, back to their country. Today, they are the largest exporters of palm oil in the world. They went and developed it and reduced the gestation period, and they are the largest today. And all of us, there's something that must happen in this country, and it's a change of mindset. The average Nigerian, as I always say, I say this jokingly, is always about striking deals, quick fix. We are not ready to develop a business. We are not ready to pick up an idea and develop a business from it, create employment opportunities from it, and impact the economy. The contribution of agriculture to our country's GDP is dismal, given the opportunity in that sector. So Bank of Agriculture was recently restructured based on government's mandate, and that's why some of us were appointed just about a year ago. And since we got there, we immediately commenced a process of restructuring of the bank, changing mindsets, both of the bank staff themselves, as well as the public. And that's why a forum like this is very important. And that's why Bank of Agriculture also, as a bank, is planning to organize a lot of workshops and on a regular basis where stakeholders will gather. And one of the key things we are focusing on, apart from creating the awareness, is that we must strive very quickly towards standardization of what we produce. Because there lies the wealth of this country and the wealth of individuals who engage in agricultural practices. One of the biggest problems we have is standardization. We are not paying attention to standards. And that's why in trying to hook up Nigeria's agriculture with the international community, we must pay attention to standards. I think the lady mentioned it when she was speaking about the outcome in Dubai. Ghana is already paying attention to standards. The Indians and even some Ghanaians, in partnership with some Nigerians, move our crops to Ghana and export from Ghana. It is acceptable abroad in the international community because it is coming from Ghana. But it is not acceptable when it's coming from Nigeria. That is unacceptable. So in the Bank of Agriculture, we are striving to correct a lot of these things. And a lot of it will depend on creating the right awareness, leading to this standardization that I'm talking about, and also making a lot people understand that they can play in the entire agricultural value chain. In an aspect of it, most people, when they think agriculture, they are wondering what crop do I grow? Where do I get a piece of land that has the right title? Where do I go to? Which state? Who do I know? Where is the contact? By the time you are thinking like this, you are discouraged. You won't even take one step. But the agricultural value chain is very vast. Primary production that people are looking at is just one aspect. And the primary primary production itself, it has its own value chain in the aspect of the input supplies. Because the farmer requires it requires the right seedlings, it requires fertilizers, it requires pesticides, herbicides, land preparation, its labor cost, and so on and so forth. That's a value chain in itself. Then beyond harvesting is another value chain altogether, a massive value chain. There is even an institutional value chain amongst the development financial institutions that we also need to talk about. We had this discussion with our colleagues in Nexim, one of the times we visited them. And the institutional value chain begins from Bank of Agriculture. Essentially, under normal circumstances, Bank of Agriculture is supposed to fund primary production under normal circumstances. So upon harvesting, you decide whether or not you want to engage in value addition, which is the processing part of it. Now, if you want to engage in value addition, you want to become a processor as well as a primary producer, then Bank of Agriculture, who has already profiled you, who gave you facility, and you have performed, you have repaid, will introduce you to Bank of Industry, who will simply, at that point, is a plug and play. They are not reinventing the wheel. They are not reappraising you, in totality all over again. So they provide you the equipment to process. Say you are processing cassava. Cassava has lots of byproducts, whether it's starch, cassava chips, ethanol, and so on and so forth. Gari is the most basic. So when you are processing, then you decide that I have a market outside the shores of this country. I have a demand for ethanol, for cassava chips, for starch. Then you are moved at that point to my brother here in Nexim, who then funds your export. That is an institutional value chain that should be very effective. My prayer is that we will get there so that business is easy for Nigerians. So you can play in any aspect of the value chain, both at the institutional level and at the sector level. So, not to take too much of your time, I just want to reacquaint us with the fact that the diversification to agriculture is real this time. It is real, and people should please take advantage of it. Right now, there are intervention programs that are still ongoing between Bank of Agriculture and the Central Bank of Nigeria. Many of us have heard of the Anchor Borrowers Program. Now, the Anchor Borrowers Program is targeted at smallholder farmers, and we are doing that in partnership with the Central Bank. And it has been very, very successful since this new administration took over. We know about the rice pilot that started towards the end of 2015, essentially 2016, into early 2017. That has increased rice production to a level that a lot of people never imagined could happen. A lot of people don't even know that some major rice mills in Thailand closed down because Nigeria stopped or has reduced considerably the importation of rice. They closed down. Our jobs were being exported to other countries. And I believe that by easily we have we are at about 80% in terms of production of rice in this country. And by end of this year, early next year, the country really has no business importing rice anymore. This has been achieved all within 2 years. And we are moving this to other commodities. So there is another scheme, that is a Commodities Association scheme, where we are partnering with the associations. We have started the Rice Farmers Association scheme, Refine, and that has taken up very well. We are moving to cassava, we are moving to wheat, maize, and so on and so forth. So it is time, ladies and gentlemen, for all of us to key into the agricultural sector. It is an area that will employ a lot of people. There's another scheme that is targeted at unemployed youth. We are partnering with the 36 state governments. It's called the Accelerated Agricultural Development Scheme, and it's targeted at unemployed youth. And the first pilot is for 10,000 youths in every state, the 36 states. The governors are supposed to provide 10,000 hectares of land, nominate the 10,000 unemployed graduates, and we fund it. And in that funding, in that scheme itself, there are lots of opportunities. There is training, there is extension workers, services, all input supplies, and so on and so forth. The opportunity is vast. We can't talk about it, all of it in this forum. But that's why I'm saying this kind of forum must be sustained, because it is time for Nigerians to know that agriculture, production of agriculture, diversification to agriculture is real. And it's only you and I that can make this sustainable. And when we make it sustainable, gradually the teeming unemployed youth out there will get engaged. And as we go along, not only are we able to feed ourselves, because where there is food security, there is safety. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for that insightful and very informative statement about all that the Bank of Agriculture is doing about food security, unemployment, access to finance, and all the other areas it touched on. Thank you again, and then we're glad to have you on board as partners for the Midi Farmers Conference. All right, and very quickly, before we delve deeper into private sector, we just take, we have another partner from the government end. We'll be taking a statement from Fadama. We have with us Mr. Abdullahi Salisu, the FCT coordinator. He's here on behalf of the national coordinator for Fadama. Please welcome Mr. Abdullahi from Fadama. Yeah.
Good day, everybody. Kindly permit me to stand on the existing protocol. I bring you the goodwill of the National Project Coordinator, Mr. Adetayo Adeomi, and the management of the Fadama program in Nigeria. My name is Abdullahi Salisu. I'm the FCT Project Coordinator. Perhaps you might have heard of the Fadama project before today. If you have not heard, I'm here to enlighten you or to educate you on what it is. Fadama actually is a Hausa word which has been adopted by the World Bank to describe a project. Naturally, it is a low-lying piece of land which is underlain by shallow aquifer. By implication, it means it is always saturated with moisture. These are the kind of ecologies that are very scarce in the landmass, but very productive. And therefore, it attracts a lot of interest by various stakeholders. In 1999, when Fadama 1, in the series of the Fadama projects, was implemented in Nigeria, it was implemented through the vehicle of the Agricultural Development Projects, the ADPs. And it was essentially a top-down approach, just like the government bureaucracy. But for implementation lessons learned, it was discovered that the efficiency would have been better if a different approach was adopted. Therefore, the community-driven development approach, or CDD for short, was brought, which led to a paradigm shift. The shift here is that the beneficiary, as a farmer, is put in a driver's seat. Some at that time, by 1999, said that was suicide, because they viewed the farmer as an illiterate, somebody with very low esteem in society, who was technically bereft, and so on and so forth. How could you allow him to drive a process of planning, thinking out things, and also application of resources for production? Well, the way and manner the project was structured made it easy and possible for the farmer to learn quickly and drive the vehicle safely. Because the project, as we go along, we will see is divided into various components: passive building, advisory services, asset acquisition, rural infrastructure, and management. And each of these components had specific responsibilities to build on the farmers' capacity on how to organize themselves in groups, how to plan, how to take decisions, and how to apply resources in the best ways and adopt global best practices. By 2008, after the teaching providence of taking up under Fadama 2, the government and the World Bank, which is the major provider of the funds for the project, discovered that the achievements of the project had surpassed what was planned or envisaged at the initial takeoff. So both parties agreed to bring in the third phase of Fadama, that's Fadama 3, which lasted between 2008 and 2014. You will recall, around 2012-2013, the government then brought an idea of agricultural transformation agenda, popularly known as ATA. And the government approached the World Bank for funding, but the bank declined for two reasons. One, it does not fund political programs. Two, there was an ongoing project under the portfolio in the bank that was succeeding, and they felt if government wanted to actually continue that project, they were ready to talk, and in that wise, both parties agreed to negotiate, and that brought about the Fadama 3 additional financing, which is the current phase we are in, and which is expected to close by 2019. Now, between 1999 and 2014, we had a very big menu. Now, the menu covered virtually everything under production in agriculture: livestock, fisheries, crops, value addition, marketing, and so on and so forth. However, we are not supporting all farmers. Based on the studies of poverty levels, farmers that were below the poverty line were the target. That was those who were living below or spending less than $1 per day. As of 1999-2000, that was barely about 145 or 150 naira, I think. So those were the targets, and the essence was to attempt to lift them above the waters so that they don't suffocate and die of poverty. And all the indicators of the outcomes showed that these people were actually lifted out of poverty. And that is what encouraged both the government and the bank to go to the third phase. But coming to the current phase, and because it was going to fund ATA And the government viewed with seriousness the colossal amount of money we were spending to import crops that we had comparative advantage to locally produce. Just like the last speaker said, we were exporting our jobs or throwing our jobs outside to other countries. 4 crops were identified and selected. These crops include sorghum for the malt companies and the breweries to stop the importation of barley and other cereals for brewing, cassava, which was intended to be substituted for livestock, especially poultry, feed, formulation, and related industries, and also the major one, rice. Virtually every household in Nigeria was dependent on foreign rice. Rice production in Nigeria was almost tending towards zero. So, and then the fourth commodity was, or rather is tomato. You understand that we import a lot of paste to this country. And these are the 4 crops that are being considered under the national financing currently. So, what is the objective? For number 3, additional finance is to scale up the project's impact and effectiveness. That's both for number 2 and 3. In selected project intervention areas beyond the typical fundamental land through investing in the sustainable common user infrastructure facilities, provision of technical assistance to support cluster of farmers, seed multiplication, and appropriate agricultural machinery. Also, enhancing demand-driven, adaptive, and applied agricultural research extension and ancillary services. Also, to strengthen project management, monitoring, and production system. It is also intended to improve the agricultural public infrastructure and services needed for supporting the agricultural transformation agenda in the production clusters or the strategic crop processing zones for ramping up of mass production in states where there is high potential for production and processing. Also, for the material financing is consistent with the development objective of the ongoing Fundamental 3. No major changes to the design or implementation of the parent project has been effected. And like I said, there were our 6-7 components, which included capacity building, communication and information, small-scale community-owned infrastructure, advisory services and input support, support to ADPs, research and on-farm demonstrations, asset acquisition for the individual farmer groups, project management, monitoring, evaluation, and cross-cutting issues. You could see the allocation. This is the global picture of the financing of the project. Now, the implementation arrangement. Before then, you will now discover that this compartmentalization of the project was intended deliberately to address specific issues. 1, we want to ramp up production. 2, we want to also employ the use of modern technology and shift away from the cutlass and hoe system, using also improved seed and seedlings, not just any kind of input, and also to standardize even the input distribution system. So we have this arrangement for implementation. We have the federal level as under the National Farmer Coordination Office, which is directly answerable to the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development. At the state level, we have the State Farmer Coordination Offices under the state's Ministries of Agriculture and Rural Development, and also we have local government offices in the various local government areas. And also we have the community level, which is a fourth tier of government, if you may, which is consists of the production clusters and the production groups, respectively. Now the procedure for implementing that, farmers interested in a particular commodity, a minimum of 10 number farmers will form a group, and a minimum of 2 groups will form a cluster. Each farmer will own 1 hectare of land. And a careful study will be conducted. The farmer is guided on how to budget for the production cost, covering all the inputs and other necessities. And a document is produced, which is known as a business plan for the farmer. So that is how the funding is achieved. Now the interesting thing, I'm sure everybody will want to know is, what impact has this made? I think we don't need to go through all this, but we can go to a table which summarizes, I think on slide 11. Yes. You see the value chains: cassava, rice, sorghum, and tomato. You see the average yield. This is where the farmers move to. If you take rice, for example, by the time the project started, most of the farmers were doing less than 1.5 tons per hectare of rice in the project areas. But after the intervention, it came to an average of 4.4 metric tons per hectare. And even with the Anko support, I think this is about the yield the farmers are getting under that project. So what it means simply is that for Nigeria to move up is very easy when the necessary support is provided. Cassava was doing less than 8 tons per hectare. You can see we have recorded 24.8, which is triple farmers' yield prior to intervention support. Sorghum was barely 1 ton per hectare, because most of the farmers are getting between 600 kg to 800 kg. A few were getting excess of 1.2. Then tomato, a lot of farmers are getting 7 to 10 tons. And these tomatoes don't last after harvest more than 2 days. They decompose because they were not using quality seeds. Now, with the support and the guidance of the project, linking them up with the appropriate input suppliers who have credible material, they are now using the right seeds or seedlings, and they are getting higher yields because they are accompanied with adequate input, and also the shelf life is also improved. Now, the important thing about this is that these farmers are organized in groups and in clusters, and they are also encouraged to link up to off-takers for the commodities, and that is what I think will interest Crane Aid very seriously, because these are the people that will eventually be the exporters. If they sustain the relationship between the producers and themselves as off-takers, that means they have an informed or an enlightened crop of producers who will be willing to produce quality produce that can be exported. Because apart from the fact that some neighboring countries like Ghana come to Nigeria to buy produce and take it out there and repackage it and export and earn the foreign currency or even better income than we as the primary producers, is nothing short of the fact that we don't give attention to quality control or standards. The international market demands minimum standards to be met. It also requires traceability. Where is this commodity coming from? So if we're able to achieve that, I think we are simply going to be the dominant force in Africa, because somebody has said earlier here that there's nothing that is not in Nigeria. And I say to that I think God was too generous when He was allocating resources to countries in the world, that He gave us too much, and maybe it's even beyond our own capacity to deal with. Maybe that, or we felt we are overfed. So instead of being active, we are sleepy. I think it is time now for us to wake up and take a sniff of the coffee. Ladies and gentlemen, if you really want to see the details, you can go back to the slides and compare the achievements with the PDO, and then you understand the table on slide 11 better. But what we have just done in the last 2-3 years under the Federal Additional Financing is a clear indication that yes, it's doable in Nigeria under agriculture. And if you translate or if you compute these outcomes by the number of farmers supported, as small as they are, because one, it's not all the states that are participating under this additional financing for reasons of commitment by the various governments. So the few states, our 23 or so states, if you compute these figures, you will now see the amount of money that these farmers have earned in billions of naira locally. And I'm sure some of these produce very soon should be ready for the export market. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, without further ado, we want to very quickly take on one of our major sponsors for their statements. I'd like to welcome leading entrepreneur and co-founder and CEO FarmCrowdy, Mr. Onyeka Kuma. He's the co-founder and CEO of FarmCrowdy, Nigeria's first digital agricultural crowdsourcing platform. FarmCrowdy is solving a major need of agri-financing and connecting the average Nigerian to agri-investments at a very basic level. Please put your hands together for Mr. Onyeka as he gives a statement on Tuesday.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor for me to be here today to speak on a topic that I'm very passionate about, one that has captured my undivided attention for the past 2 years, which is agriculture, and specifically the growing impact of digital technologies and how it's having its effect on the agriculture value chain. I would like to first thank the organizers of this event, the Meet the Farmers Conference. It's happening now in Lagos. It has happened in Ghana. I understand it will happen in Nairobi. It will happen in Kigali. I think it's a fantastic platform that brings together agricultural stakeholders together to link every step of the agricultural value chain under one umbrella, where we can all discuss the very important issues in agriculture and find solutions to them, but most importantly, benefit from each other. As we already know, agriculture is a key driver of the economy of Africa, and if we must make more impact within a short time frame, we must look for ways to create a multiplier effect with every short time we can push into it. And one of the ways we can do this is how we apply technology, which is something we're currently doing in FarmCrowdy. To give you an example that hits directly to Nigeria, the moment we combine technology to agriculture, we created a new level of attention amongst everyday Nigerians. But beyond FarmCrowdy, which I will emphasize on later on in my presentation, let's talk about some of the examples of platforms that have used technology to change the way we see agriculture today. Examples of such organizations achieving big feats in agriculture include Sun Culture, which sells drip irrigation kits that use solar energy to pump water from any source, thereby making irrigation affordable. There's also Farm Drive that connects unbanked and undeserved smallholder farmers to credit, and M-Farm, which provide pricing data to smallholder farmers in order to improve the way they go about their pricing was with the middleman and get more for the small-scale farmers while making them earn a better living. Nigerian-based Hello Tractor, which is an Uber for tractor services, allowing farmers to order for tractor services across the country using their mobile devices. And a perfect example, which is in the house, Afex, that provides, using technology, a commodities trading platform that lets everyone aggregate their commodities to one place, and at the end of the day, get better value. You hear from Afex later on as the presentations go on. But according to the Food and Agriculture Organization, the world's population is expected to hit 9.1 billion by 2050. 2050, all of us here will see 2050, and that's barely 32 years from now. I don't know if we understand the numbers, but that's a 34% increase compared to where we are today. In order to feed this large populace, food production must increase by 70%. How do we sustainably feed the world? Africa will reach a population of 2.2 billion people by that time, and the same problem will exist. How do we find better ways of feeding them? If we go back in time, the introduction of mechanized farming happened between 1900 to 1930, and then genetic modification from 1990 to 2005, where both revolutions that drove efficiency, farm yield, and profitability. But I'm excited to announce that maybe digital agriculture, as it were today, started in 2010, and till today, several people are looking at how to use technology to create an impact across the value chain, starting from that time. Digital agriculture is in itself using advanced technologies integrated with one system in order to enable farmers and major stakeholders within the agricultural value chain improve food production. Digital agriculture makes use of software, sensors, communication networks, unmanned aviation systems, artificial intelligence, robotics, and advanced machinery. For example, is it possible to tell how much fertilizer and in what exact quantity a crop needs just by looking at it? With precision GPS, farmers can now apply fertilizers exactly where it is needed without guessing. By using sensors, predictive analytics, and a clear user interface, farmers are able to make accurate prediction of when water contaminants are too high or tell an impending disease outbreak, so they can take proactive steps to reduce loss. For crops to grow, they need to be planted on the right soil and get the right amount of sunlight, nutrients, and water. Too little of these factors and the crops don't reach their full potential. Too much of it usually as a result of just negative feedback that farmers get in order to make their decisions. With the advent of satellite technology, farmers can now forecast drought and flooding. The likes of Pula does a great job with providing even assurance at the end of the day for farmers that are looking at getting the desired yield, and when they shortfall of that, they get something as a result of their effort. They can also collect data and allow forecasts on crop productivity, monitor plant health, field nutrients, identify the presence of weeds and diseases. To prevent food waste and increase food security, there have been research around electron beams to sanitize the crops and other dry foods. The impact of digital agriculture comes with its own set of challenges. If you ask me though, I do not see them as challenges but opportunities for everyone in the house. In fact, our agri-tech platform, Fund Crowding, was born as a result of that challenge. First challenge was that small-scale farmers struggled with how they raise funds in order to work on the extra land they possess. Second, they wanted to understand better smart farming techniques so that to improve on the work they do on their farms in order to increase their yield. And also, market access for them to sell their farm produce in order to earn a decent margin from farming as a business. Because we took advantage of this opportunity, several people are now conveniently farming from their mobile devices. Now we tell people you can farm from your mobile device, and you bring out your mobile phone, you go on Farm Crowding, you sponsor a farmer, and then what happens is the real work outside what happens on your mobile device. I hear a lot of people in the room in events that I've gone to where I say, now you can farm from your mobile devices, and they're like, what magic are you talking about? It's just the same way you say you can call a taxi with your mobile device before Uber, and people used to think that was magic. But today what happens is you're now able to provide the funds for a farmer to go to the farm and do the work he needs to do, while providing the money also for technical field specialists, providing necessary training, and then providing money also for the farmer to get his farm produce to the right market and earn a decent margin for farming as a business. While it's still early to evaluate the impacts of digital agriculture on farming in Africa in terms of productivity and improvement of human welfare, there's already a promising trend. Technology is making farming exciting for young people. As they see that developing mobile apps alone cannot feed Africa, many will turn to farming as a business. Stakeholders need to also understand that digital agriculture is an opportunity, much as it is a challenge. And if I will speak to the farm crowd model, so what we've done is, as a result of generating funds from farm sponsors, we'll provide our farmers with the technical knowledge, we'll provide our farmers with the inputs, the quality inputs that they need in order to do the work on the farm. We also provide our farmers with market access to sell their farm produce. And so at the end of the farming cycle, we split profit with our farmers on the 40-40-20 ratio, where the farmers get 40% of the profit from the farm, and the sponsor that provided the money for the farmers to do the work get 40% of the profit from the farm, plus the initial capital invested, and the farm crowd gets the remaining 20%. This is a win-win-win scenario for everyone. You can think of it as an impact plus return model, which is any farm crowd, a gross profit of approximately 5 to 7% of the total sponsorship generated on each farm. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to tell you that our model is working. Since launching barely 20 months ago, we've worked with more than 7,000 small-scale farmers across Nigeria. In the last 20 months, we've raised over 560,000 chickens in that period. We've currently we started initially maybe 200 acres of rice farm. Today we're now doing 2,000 acres of rice farm in Kwara State. Today we've started with maybe 500 acres of maize in our first year. Today we're now doing about 5,000 acres of rice farm in Kaduna State. And just gradually that way, we've been able to work with so many farmers across the country, generating over $5 million through our platform to work with these farmers across the different locations. When people ask me whether technology is actually having an impact in the agriculture space, I'm excited to say yes, it is. Because in 1,000, over close to 2,000 people that have sponsored all of these farmers through our platform, we've created interest in over 70,000 people that have downloaded our mobile apps and are consistently getting the updates, whether it's in pictures or in videos or in text, about what happens on the farm, and thereby making informed decisions in the future about themselves investing in agriculture, or just learning how the little things they do has an impact on the sector. But with all of this, there are several challenges, and in these challenges, like I mentioned earlier, they become opportunities for you. Cost of implementation, adaptation of technology, data management, employment, security, technology consideration, user design. All of these are some of the things that hold back the growth of digital technology in agriculture. But today we're excited because we're in a space where every one of us today is talking around the room about how we too can contribute to the value chain. When people ask me what is the next thing that happens in agriculture, I tell them, don't look at farm crowd. If you're trying to get into farm crowd, into the farm crowding model today, there are over 14 other platforms that have copied the farm crowding model today that exist. So you're already late. But there is logistics, there's warehousing, there's knowledge to the farmers. We're still looking for technical field specialists across the different farms. We work with Hello Tractor today to provide us with tractor services. There's export-driven business. There's so many opportunities for people to tap into. And this is where, for us, we get excited on a daily basis. The heartbeat for us as to why we do what we do in farm crowding. So as I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, there are over 720 million people employed in agriculture across Africa today. The sector currently generates over $660 billion in GDP annually, with over 592 million acres available for us to cultivate. Africa can be at the center of this new drive with digital agriculture. In fact, by collaborating with stakeholders like yourselves across the world, we have the opportunity to possibly end hunger in our generation and advance mankind. So let's leave here asking ourselves one key question. What am I doing with the digital technologies available to me today to amplify the efforts in the agriculture value chain? Beyond the talk beyond the presentations, let us make sure we leave this place today having it in our mindset that we are in the digital age, and the only way we can advance the growth of technology, of agriculture in Africa, specifically in Nigeria today, will be by how much we apply some level of technology to the work we do. Agriculture is the future for us in Africa today. Agriculture today will put Africa at the center of the world. Let's make use of what we have today, starting with digital technology. Thank you.
Thank you very much. From Farm Crowdy. Very quickly, we'll just take the statement from Mr. Ayodeji Balogun, Country Manager, FX Commodities Exchange Limited. He'll be telling us on the role that FX plays in the agri value chain and their relationship with the Midday Farmers Conference. As we prepare. Put your hands together from Mr. Ayodeji.
Thank you very much. I'm sure for a number of us that are not Lagos Creole, when we saw the invitation at Intercontinental Hotel, we wondered whether we were attending an agricultural event or if it was a mistake on the invitation. But I'm glad that this is happening, and it's one of the core principles that I particularly opine and hold very firmly, that agriculture is beyond green and brown. I think fundamentally, as a people, as a group of people, we have that definitional problem for agriculture. And every time that word comes out, we think about the brown soil and the green vegetation. We don't think about technology, like Onyeka very well explained. We don't think about agri-insurance, financial inclusion. We don't think about climate science. We don't think about genetics. We don't think about all these subsets of agriculture. And if you think that this is for Africa alone, it's a $1 trillion market by 2030, and Nigeria is well positioned to take over 20% of this market share via the nature of our endowments. Then you start to think the relevance and the need to join the right type of financing, but most importantly, the right type of talent. I think the biggest challenge with agriculture is attracting the right level of talent and brain power to think the problems of that very complex industry. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here representing FX Commodities Exchange. We're a private commodities exchange licensed by the Securities and Exchange Commission. And what we do is to broadly two things: build an ecosystem of productivity around farmers. So a lot of the people in the room here are either providers of finance, providers of technical support, input companies, and the likes that we work with in different capacities. And we bring all of that around an ecosystem of farmers to ensure that they can produce optimally. The other part of our work is around access to markets, ensuring that when these products are harvested, first they are stored properly so that we can address the issues of standardization quality, particularly as it regards to export crops. And we have markets where the farmers or the producers can sell their products to. We currently work with over 100,000 farmers. About 60% of them have commercially transacted with us. And we are in 14 states across the country and increasing by the day. So we're currently reaching our things in the southwest to look at a few additional export crops. So here particularly, I think it's great to be here. We're proud to be associated with Renovate. We've been partners in principle for quite a bit, almost 2 years now. And particularly I like the approach to branding, selling the value that we are as a country, even far beyond agriculture. First, I think it's a very great projection of brand Nigeria. Secondly, it sells the opportunities that Nigeria presents by bringing Nigeria to the market and bringing the markets to the farmers. That connection, that nexus is a very important piece of the entire agriculture puzzle. The second part is it helps unlock access to new types of financing, investors, funding that are structured around commodities. The Middle East being a very large global trading hub, I think that's one big value, both from a financing angle, but also from a knowledge transfer perspective. Being able to travel and bring in, that inclusive events of not just private or people that can afford to, but also finding solutions that can carry on government players, private players, smallholder farmers into a room and have creative dialogues is one innovation that they've brought to the fore, and it actually brings value to the space. So we are proud partners. We have operations in East Africa through our sister company, East Africa Exchange, and we'll also be supporting their operations in Kenya and Rwanda, in addition to Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, sir. So just as we begin to wind down on the statements, we'll very quickly take the chairman, the president, I meant to say, president of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. So to speak, Lagos State is hosting the conference, and there's a lot of involvement from key business coordinators in the city. So let's get as a word from Mr. Babatunde Owashe, President LCCN, to come to take a stake on the conference.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here today to be part of this launch. I've been watching and sitting down there, getting the various talk. You need to try and become a farmer to know what the problems are. To get a piece of land is a big problem. I've tried to do that, to get a piece of land, and from Lekki, I went to Ikorodu, I went to Itoki, I went to different places. So saying that people don't want to plant to farm is not a joke. The land is not just there. And when you have the land, because of my training as an accountant, the sort of prices I was getting, I know that I'll give a loser at the end of the day because I've done my costing. And then I ask the guy, what if I give you so much? What am I going to get out of it? You don't have gold in this land. So that is a problem which we should not run away from. Sadly enough too, on the other side of it is where we have those plantations that were there in the golden old days. They are idle to the best of my knowledge. And it seems government is not doing anything to reactivate them. That was where people could do planting. Their government land, some of them have turned to forests. If they have not been taken over by some other people to become there, to do factory or something there. We in Lagos, we are lucky, and then I will have to attest to what the gentleman had said. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce, we have an agri group that has actually benefited from land allocation by the Lagos State government. That I can attest to. We also have this agri group where people now, they are in cooperative. So we form cooperative. When government say they finance, the government finances go to the wrong people anyway. They don't finance people who are in that business. That is the truth. And that is why we are not getting any result from government financing. When you want to finance farmers today, it will go to the farmers. It will go to new farmers who don't have farms, who probably will come and do those things. We have seen government fertilizer going to the wrong people. The fertilizer, the real farmers will have to go and buy fertilizer from somebody who does not have farm. So we have not gotten to where we are because of all this problem. Private sector initiative to go into some of these areas, which one of what the Grenoble 8 is doing and also the Frank Crowley is doing. But then I think we have to go back and let us make it clear that government has no business in business. In other places where we say they have achieved so much, it's because it's private sector driven. Dubai today, we say a lot of things are taken there. It's because it's where things happen. If you are moving things from China today, you have what you call sea air. A lot of boat is being used to take things to Dubai that will be flown into Nigeria. We have tried to arrange moving pineapples. Some people say pineapples, they want to be moving from Lagos to Europe. You'll be surprised that you don't have such facility, aircraft to take directly out of this place. So if we want to do something, it has to be looked at holistically. One of the good things that is happening now is the PEPEP, the Presidential Enabling Business Forum that we have. That's the sector that is looking at the problems that are being faced by people who are in businesses. And I think it's something that we should take advantage of as well. I'm a businessman, as business people. I congratulate this initiative. I would suggest that we look at those things that are making us not to get to our destination and solve those problems. We can't be doing the same thing and expect a different result. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Babatunde, Mr. Clement Aibi. Right after them, we take the question and answers, and then we begin to close for today.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me stand on the existing protocol. I'm Clement Aibi from Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission. I don't know whether we are all familiar with Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission. It's an agency of the government charged with responsibility to encourage and promote investment in Nigerian economy. Our job is basically to travel around the world to look for investors to invest in Nigeria. We're organizing BIA, Business and Investment Forum. So it is a good thing that we'll be meeting with Meet the Farmers Forum, we'll be attending their programs, and the NIPC is ready to partner with the Meet the Farmers Forum. And you see, there's no doubt whether the government of the day is actually promoting agriculture, because to take this pride of place in the national economy, whether we like it or not, agriculture is the roadmap to economic development. So we are doing a lot of things to ensure there's economic development. We organize matchmaking of investors. Sometimes some investors come to our office, they have land, they have investment, they need capital, they need people to partner with. So we matchmake investments. In the area, a lot of things are going on now. We organize seminars for farmers to encourage them, and we even give incentives to farmers, like what they call pioneer status. I don't know whether we have heard of pioneer status. Pioneer status is incentive administered by Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission. It's administered to encourage investors to overcome the problem the investors have to start. So the essence of giving the pioneer status is to overcome startup challenges. Why pioneer status? And what qualify you to get that pioneer status? For you to be qualified for the pioneer status, you must establish your business within that formative years. So you apply for it within that formative of forming your business. And your business, it must be in priority list. We have about 96 priority lists, the products in the priority list. And your business must be along that line. That's called the priority of the government. So we do a lot of things to ensure agriculture is being promoted in Nigeria. So that's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
Get right into the question and answers now. So I'm sure members of the press have some questions.
Lifting cargo, the process of taking cargo to the airport, taking them overseas, what are the agendas, what is the procedure and whatever. But they are not partnering with airlines on the lifting of cargo. That's a farm produce.
My question actually goes to Bank of Agriculture and Exim Bank. In terms of support to farmers, we would like to know the amount that for 2017, how much was given out to farmers to support them in the bid to drive the agricultural revolution? Thank you.
Okay, all right. Just before we take the next round of questions, maybe we should just quickly take answers to that from Nexim and BOE.
Yeah, a major challenge that I think all of us we know about is logistics of moving things out of this country. It's a major challenge. When you talk about, if you're doing international trade, the easiest way to move things is by sea. Because you are moving heavy duty things. But unfortunately, in this country, we have not had it easy. Because most of the major shipping lines are foreign shipping lines. So what that means is if you want to move something from Nigeria to Ghana, for an example, because for us, anything across the border is export. If you want to move something from here to Ghana and you want to use Max line, for an example, you have to go to Europe and now come back. We know it's a challenge. However, from our own side, to facilitate movement of goods within the West Coast, we initiated, I will say, public-private partnership. There's a project that we currently have that we are pioneering that we call Sea-Link. We are working with other stakeholders in shipping or in shipping business. NIMASA, Nigerian Shippers Council, the federal government, the government of some of the countries, of the routes that we have identified. And we have one found that is called Sea-Link Project. What it's going to do is to help exporters minimize that challenge that you go through in trying to use the international shipping lines. It will make it easier for you it will be shorter for you in terms of duration. It will also be more cost effective, we believe. It would encourage intra-regional trade. So we are working on that and we have something. However, government on its own, I know also, they are working towards minimizing the challenge of movement of goods within Africa and the other parts of the world.
Right, thank you, sir. Okay, okay, so somebody wanted to know how much has been disbursed so far to farmers in 2000 between 2016 and 17. Out of the initial about 250 billion intervention fund, development intervention in the agri sector, primarily through the Anchor Borrowers program, will be close to about 100 billion so far. And out of that, we have, like I said earlier, we've seen an increased production by close to 80% in rice production. That in itself, between 2016 and 2017, saved the federal government over $700 million, close to $800 million in foreign exchange. And that is still rising. With the Commodities Association scheme, for example, with Rice Farmers Association, rice production will even increase further than where we are. Like I said, we are looking at by end of the year to very early next year, we shouldn't be importing rice. And we want to do the same with other commodities. So the disbursement is still ongoing. And within the first quarter this year, we've already disbursed close to another 50 billion. And that is still growing. So now with growing awareness, with a lot of people going into agricultural production, or in fact, indeed in any of the aspects of the value chain, money will be made available, and as more money that is spent will increase opportunities in the area of job creation, and other impacts in the economy. Thank you.
My name is Anthony Awon. I write for Leadership Newspaper. I have 2 questions, and both of them are directed to Bamishola Olajide. The first one has to do with the scope of MTFC. Most of the activities, from what I have observed here, seem to, focus on large-scale farmers. I would like to know if they have any consideration, targeting the peasant farmers. That is all. Then the second question has to do with Dubai. I think she has been able to explain very, very well why they have gone to Dubai, which is quite good. I would like to know too if they are looking at any other country, across the globe. If there is any other country that is in that area where they can link Nigerian farmers. Thank you very much.
Your first question about the focus is on large-scale farmers. That's not actually the focus. The focus is on all farmers actually. So what we've done with the small-scale farmers is we've been having a lot of interactions with cooperatives especially, because the demand from the UAE is quite a lot. So it's a market of $100 billion, and we, for Nigeria, our target for MTFC is let us take 1% of that, and 1% is we're talking about $1 billion. So we are actually, that's why we are working with the likes of Farm Crowd, Effects, and a lot of cooperatives as well. So where we can aggregate a lot of smallholder farmers to come together under one umbrella, and then we can, once we get, let's say, an order from an off-taker, we can tell them this is the standard, this is what's required of you. But aggregation, and one thing that we are also pushing is collaboration. It can't be done individually, and that's why we've also done the intra-African trade as well. So it even means that we have to, work with people from Rwanda, people from Ghana, people from Kenya to be able to deliver to the Dubai market. Then we have to do that. So the focus is on all farmers, large scale, small scale, medium sized farmers. And also, talking about which other markets are we looking at, our focus is actually the GCC region, but we are starting with the Dubai because that's where we have our presence. And Dubai is a very strategic location. It's actually a logistic hub that people do trade through to other GCC regions like Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi, Oman, and Qatar. So I'm also talking to key stakeholders from those regions as well. All of them will be coming from those different regions to Dubai to start this discussion. But let's start from Dubai as well. So even we talk to investors, invest in warehouse in Dubai, because that way you can now actually trade to other GCC regions. And why our focus is not in Europe, America, why GCC is a desert. They already have food insecurity, and then their policies, their standards are not as stringent. They don't want all the certification, all of these things. They want the food to just be healthy and organic, which we already have. So our focus is GCC for now. Thank you.
If there are possible challenges that could prevent this program from working out as planned, it's a very nice initiative, but are there possible challenges that could prevent it from working in Dubai as you envisaged? And if there are such challenges, what are the plans that you've put in place to either forestall them or to manage them when they arise?
We already understand the challenges that Nigeria have with the UAE, and the challenges will always come up, and that is why we are putting this conference together to how can we address these issues. That's why we are talking to the Ministry of Trade, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture, MEPC, NIPC, and a lot of financial institutions as well. One of the biggest issues in Dubai right now for exportation, especially from Africans, especially Nigerians, is actually financial mistrust. Off-takers will complain that, we sent money to a farmer in Nigeria or an exporter in Nigeria and we didn't get our produce. And even some farmers will tell you, see, I sent some produce to Dubai and I didn't get my money. That is why we've now talked to the banks in the UAE, and we had the opportunity to talk to the CEO of UAE as well in Dubai. So we want the banks in Nigeria and then the banks in Dubai to actually have some sort of partnership. So when we spoke to some off-takers that, okay, if there is, instead of you paying the farmer directly, if the bank should manage the transactions for you, will you feel comfortable with that? And a lot of the off-takers and even the producers, they said yes. Because that way, if an off-taker pays in Dubai, let's say for, let's say some 1,000 metric tons of ginger, then the banks in Nigeria, they are aware that, okay, this money has been paid. They can even facilitate the transaction for the farmer in Nigeria, and this will also enable them to actually produce and export this product because they know the money is already there in the bank. So all of these challenges will come up, and that is why we are trying to set up branches in different parts of Africa, because basically Greenwich will be playing the role of a facilitator to be able to address the issue that might arise between the Dubai government and then the African government. And that is why we are trying to have as many partnerships as possible to be able to address a lot of issues, legal issues, financial issues, even insurance and whatnot. So we need the cooperation and we need the support of as many. Greenwich can't do it all alone. We need everyone's support on this. Thank you.
I'm Emmanuel today from TMS Farms. So we're basically into commercial processing of small catfish. But among the items I saw while you were displaying, I noticed aquaculture is now captured. So I want to find out if there is a room for, people like us who, process small catfish.
Thank you for the question. For aquaculture, the opportunity is there, but it's not something that we've looked into directly. For the aquaculture, what we are promoting with aquaculture is we are actually promoting it within Africa. This conference is not just Dubai, Africa. We are also promoting intra-African trade. Like what we did in Ghana, we had one of our speakers is an expert in aquaponics and hydroponics. And after the conference in Ghana, a lot of even Nigerian fish farmers were able to talk to him that I want you to develop this technology for me when it comes to aquaponics, aquaculture, and all of that. Because from our own little research, we know that the market is actually huge and it's not tapped yet, like fully. So for Dubai, I can't really give you a figure right now to tell you how big the market is for aquaculture, but I know it's there. But for Africa, for intra-African trade, it's really huge, and I think it's something we can use this platform to explore as well. Thank you.
Thank you, House. Good afternoon. My name is Dili Alabi. I'm of Victory Connection Nigeria Limited, a private company. We are into logistics as well as aggregators. I happen to have had experience in Nigerian Post Authority, haven't worked there before. And I really want to comment on the issue of logistics. And my advice is that we need to be more strict, in working out the strategy, the logistics strategy. The point is we don't seem to be honest in the choice of what competitive advantages are. It may not be the case that we can compete in exporting all these items to Dubai market, the GCC market. As a matter of fact, there are some that I think we can pick up, and some may be a bit tricky at the moment because we don't have established sea lane directly with Nigeria, in between Nigeria and Dubai, as the case may be. Also, I want to cancel that we need to open up our minds and look at other logistic options and ports. It's not only the ports in Lagos that are available, we have ports outside Lagos. We have in Warri, we have in Port Harcourt, we have in Calabar, we have in Onne. And of course, we have private terminals all around the country. I'm aware that even with the airline option, there are some airlines that are available and through which we can do some packaging of goods into those places. So I think it's a very comprehensive thing we need to look at, and we also need to adhere to the rules. There are strict rules of doing international business. In conclusion, I really want to advise that there is need to bring in more people, particularly from the position of government, from the government side, to be part of this conversation in future. We have the agricultural quarantine people. I don't know if they are represented here. Of course, customs, there's no denying the fact that they have a key role to play. And the issue of standards is also critical. There are rules that cut across the board all over. There are international rules, those stipulated by ITC, for instance, International Trade Center in Geneva. It is not a local business as it were, and we need to align to those rules. I really want to counsel that we make use of professionals and people who are conversant with how to do this business, the best way to do it. Like I was saying about the aviation route, for instance, I'm aware that we have the opportunity of shipping out up to 4 metric tons of cargo each day. There are some airlines that visit the country and they straddle the other countries along the west coast. They go to Abidjan in Cote d'Ivoire. They go to Ghana, pick cargo, and off they go. I think these are all options that we can look at them and see, what we could do. Right. There are baskets of opportunities that we can really explore. Thank you.
Sure, sir. My name is Oye from Stanbic IBTC Bank. My question really is to the lady that spoke earlier. I reckon this is the second year of what you're currently doing, and you had the conference last year. I'd just like to understand what has been the impact from what you did previously till date, and how do you measure it?
Thank you, Ian. Basically, like my colleague mentioned, Sola earlier, to be honest with you, Kenya, Ghana, and Uganda, they were the ones that really actually benefited a lot from the last day conference, and Rwanda as well, because they were fully represented by their governments. For example, Ghana Export Promotion Authority was there. The CEO was even the one on the stand and talking, to the Dubai government directly. Because one thing Dubai government have told us is government will not talk to private stakeholders. Because we didn't even plan, we didn't know that we were going to have a conference. It was just from our research for Dubai Chamber of Commerce, and then we started this talk with Dubai Chamber of Commerce, and they called me, Bola, you're crazy, you're not Nigerian government, I can't have this bilateral discussion with you. So it was, for us, it started as out of passion, basically. So for now, like Ghana Export Promotion, we are setting up a warehouse for them in Dubai already. This was from last year. This conference, and because we were able to also sign an MOU with one of the biggest free zone in Dubai, in UAE, but in Ajman, because they were the one that the conference was held under the patronage of the Sheikh of that free zone, and it's one of the largest free zone in the UAE. And also some coffee from Rwanda. There are some success stories. Even there are some people from Nigeria who actually partnered with some. It's called Bonanza Coffee and then Kininu Coffee. So there's this Wells Farms in Nigeria that was able to do something with this coffee and all of that. But like I said, to be honest, if we don't actually work on the fundamental issues, we are just going to do one or two trade, and that is it. Now, let us work on the trade agreements. Let us work on securing what's it called, the financial wahala that the two countries, African and then the GCC or Dubai, they are facing. Let us work on some policies. They need to do, because some of the exporters in the company, like, oh, if I want to export even from Nigeria, the wax, we want this, do this. So a lot of people get discouraged. So if we don't even solve that issue, it's going to be the same story over and over again. So basically, for us going forward is we understand the issues. How can we solve it? That is why we're also talking to Stanbic, and thankfully Stanbic is on board with the middle farmers now. They will be like the first bank of a partner with some banks in Dubai to facilitate transaction. So basically, that's been the story so far. And like what the representative from BOE said, this has to be sustainable. And for it to be sustainable, the goal for us is not short term. The goal right now is let us start exporting, but the long term goal is local industrialization. Basically, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Douglas. And I want to ask, how do you secure the other farmers apart from the big boys? Because I noticed that when some farmers are cashing out, maybe let me use product like what do you call it, ginger, right? Recently, I heard about what do you call it? What happened? The prices that fell down, everything crashed, and some of these farmers, they started losing out because some other investors came into the ginger business. Now, my only question is just on security. How do you protect those other smaller farmers? Because they still sell to some of these guys that come from outside. What is going to happen to this kind of farmers so that they can still be afloat and still be doing their farm? Thank you.
Risks in your market risk. There are various types of risks in agricultural production. There is the risk of your yield, when people stumble into defective seedlings, bad fertilizers and all of that, input supplies. So that's what I meant earlier when I said we are working towards standardization. So it's no longer going to be an all-comers affair, because even when you lend and you don't get, the farmer does not get the right yield, there goes your loan. So from the risk point of view, we need to pay attention to standardization. Well, when you spoke about how is a small farmer protected, a lot of the smallholder farmers have been put under the Anchor Borrowers Program. Under that program, the smallholder farmer is really meant to do what he knows best, which is the primary production, just farm. That's why I said earlier on, what he gets is his labor cost. So all the inputs are paid for directly to the input suppliers. So he's protected in that regard. And secondly, the program is such that the anchor is the off-taker. So they know that whatever they produce, somebody will off-take from them. So in that regard, they are secured. And that's the reason the rice production pilot has been very successful. So they are really producing because there are off-takers. The problem in the past had to do with wastages, because when you produce and you don't have off-takers, at the end of the day, most of it will go to waste. So slowly they reduce production, and slowly that's how production of a lot of our cash crops came to almost zero level, and then that led to rural-urban migration. So we're beyond that again in securing your the market risk and so on. Nigerian Agricultural Insurance Corporation is the place to go. You must insure your farm and your production. So NIC insures. Every loan we give, we ensure that NIC insures them. NIC is also expanding their insurance scope now, because initially it was restricted largely to natural disasters. They really didn't quite cover the aspect of market risk as well as your yield. They didn't quite cover that, but that's what they're doing now, because we need to cover everybody who is in this business to ensure that we encourage them. NASDAQ is also on board now to ensure that they cover the risk, because NASDAQ was set up to de-risk the agricultural lendings. So we are all working now in harmony together. So that's still even work in progress. We need to tighten this harmony so that everything starts to work effectively. So as you are going in, you can get your insurance, you can get your guarantees, and so on and so forth. As long as any farmer is doing serious business, going forward, you'll be protected. You have your off-takers, and you can make money. Another thing is for us to standardize, because even if you don't have off-takers and your standard is good, you can export. There are people, even in here, there are lots of multinational agencies that are going into backward integration because of the experience of the last that we had with foreign exchange scarcity. So with that, our growers and smallholder farmers are also guaranteed off-take, no matter what they produce. In fact, they can't even meet the demand. So we are trying to fine-tune all of this. And that's why I said events like this must be sustained. Because as many times as this is done, we get to enlighten people, awareness grows, and we will slowly get back to where we should be.
Thank you everyone for coming. And on behalf of Consulting, I would like to thank the Federal Ministry of Trade and Industry for their support as well. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture, they've been supporting us from last year. And we would like to thank Nasima Nexim, Bank of Agriculture. And we would like to thank Fadama as well. They've been very supportive since last year that we started this initiative. And then we also like to thank the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And we'd like to thank our partners, Apex. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Wawani, Stanbic IBTC, and also Farm Crowdy. And also, everyone, we hope the Meet the Farmers Conference is going to be the start of great things to come. We believe that Africa is going to feed the world, and I believe this is a stepping point, or a starting point rather. And also to announce, we are using this platform to promote startups in agriculture. We have a competition called Innovate Agric. So we pick like 5 finalists across all the countries, and then all the winners from all these countries, we pay for their trip to Dubai for the main conference where they now pitch their idea. So we already have our winner from the conference in Ghana, and then the guy actually developed an app called Qualitrace to be able to verify if an agro produce is fake or original. So I know everyone is really looking forward to the winner from Nigeria, and we've received a lot of applications from Nigerians as well, and the ideas have been really very innovative and very great. But I feel Nigeria will have a lot of competition with Kenya, because Kenya is not really playing with technology right now and whatnot. So thank you everyone for coming. We really appreciate you, and we hope to see you on the 10th of October in Intercontinental for the Meet the Farmers. Thank you.
FarmCrowd is a digital agriculture platform that connects small-scale farmers with investors for the purpose of boosting food production in the country. We're excited about the opportunity of working and participating at the Meet the Farmers Conference here in Lagos. It's a huge opportunity for stakeholders to come together to discuss how different things impact on the entire value chain of agriculture. For us, our focus is in technology. Agriculture is a huge business in the country, currently generating roughly around over $100 billion already in GDP. And so taking this seriously and having a conference like this is a fantastic one. We're excited to be here, we're excited to present, we're excited to be partners with Meet the Farmers Conference. I look forward to also the grand event in Dubai, but so far it's been an exciting one for us on my team, and I only want to wish them well, and as they continue to grow, that they have more impact on the farmers in the country. Thank you.
Innovate Consulting is a management consulting firm that does a lot of market research and feasibility study. It was during one of our market research that we were able to find a new market for agribusiness, especially for Africans. And then right now, the Dubai market imports about $100 billion worth of agro produce. And then as a consulting firm, and since our mandate is bridging the gap between Africa and the GCC, we said, why not? Why can't we take this opportunity to African farmers, agribusiness stakeholders and exporters to start looking at this market instead of just exporting to Europe or to America. So that is why we put this conference together. It's basically for connecting the stakeholders in Africa who are into production of farm products and then exporting it to Dubai. But we'll be using Dubai as a logistic hub. That way people can even export to as far as Oman, Bahrain, Saudi and Kuwait as well. So basically we just did the media launch for the conference that will be happening in Lagos in Intercontinental Hotel on the 10th of October. So we hope to have different people across the value chain, people in packaging, in processing, in logistics, in production, in even investors, government bodies coming together for us to talk and how we can actually maximize this opportunity and this new market that has been found for African farmers.
Yeah, I think generally speaking it's a positive development. It's a commendable initiative by Crenovate in their march to linking up Nigerian farmers with
the GCC Agric entrepreneurs. With the turnout of participants and the comments that were made, I think there's there's hope for Nigeria. At the conference today, quite a lot of things and quite a lot of possibilities, new information, talking about the various apps that have been deployed in other climes, even outside Nigeria and within Nigeria. So I think there are things we can look at.